there's a trans woman sitting in the audience. This is a true story. This was like a few weeks ago. I did 6 shows that weekend. This trans woman came to 4 of them. Calls herself Daphne. Man, this chick Daphne was in there cracking the fuck up at everything I said about everybody. It was amazing. She was laughing, and it was fun to watch her laugh. You could tell she was letting go with something that was heavy, and she'd throw her head back, and she'd smile with all her teeth. She was having a great time. And the more fun she had, I felt bad, because I knew I had some trans jokes to unload. And I thought to myself, maybe I shouldn't say these jokes because I don't want to like fuck her evening up. She's having so much fun. But then I thought to myself, well, if I can't say it in front of her, should I say this shit at all? So I let her rip. And to my surprise, Daphne laughed harder at the trans jokes than anybody in the room. In fact, everybody in the room would look at her to make sure it was okay. And I got off stage, I was in the dressing room, I was like, man, this is a fucking weird show. I'm sitting in the dressing room by myself just trying to figure out, like, what the fuck just happened out there? Like, why is it that this one woman can't take any of these jokes and Daphne can take all of these jokes? So weird. And then I realized, Daphne used to be a man. So now I go out of the dressing room and like you can see like all the staff was there like cleaning the club up, the audience had gone, and sitting at the bar by herself was Daphne. And she's like, hey Dave, come join me for a drink. And I don't want her to think that I'm transphobic or nothing, so I'm like, fuck, I guess I could have at least a drink. And we get some tequila and we're sitting there. And she was fucking cool. Turns out that Daphne, she wants to be a comedian. She was asking me for advice and I told her advice and all that shit. And then she says to me, she says, boy, you sure do get a bad rap for your trans jokes. I said, Daphne, thank you, but you don't have to say that. I hope I didn't offend you. She goes, no. She said, in fact, I read about you in the New York Times. I said, you did? She said, yeah. She said, I thought it was interesting that they blamed you for R. Kelly. They said you normalized him for telling jokes about him. I go, yeah, they said that. She goes, I wonder why they never said that you normalized transgenders by telling jokes about us. And I'd never thought about that. It never occurred to me. And we started making out. And then like, I reached up just to see what it felt like. I was like, what? And it felt like pussy, did it? I was just like, listen. What the fuck you gonna do if Trump get reelected? What am I gonna do if Trump gets reelected? Probably get a significant tax break. Hey, you wanna know why I don't even talk about Trump in my show? Because that motherfucker is not the hokey pokey. He is not what it's all about. There's millions of people that put him in power, and the ideas that he puts forth are not his own. He's singing poor white people's greatest hits. So why the fuck would I worry about him and not the other millions? Really, you know who I'm gonna vote for next time if things keep going the way it's going is that gay dude. No, Mike Pence. Now, this is the same club, the Punchline. This is 15 years ago, and I had just gotten back from my infamous South Africa trip. And I came to the Punchline just to cheer myself up. It's a safe place where I could tell some jokes. And I find out that this comedian I know, Chris Tucker, who's in all those Rush Hour movies, I find out that Chris is in San Francisco too at some charity event. So I call him, I'm like, yo, I just saw you at some charity event. I said, I'm doing a show at the Punchline. Why don't you come by the club after your event? And he's like, cool, Dave. I thought she was dead, nigga. I'll come by. He says, is it okay if I bring some friends? Because, you know, I'm with a lot of people. I go, man, you Chris Tucker. You can bring whoever the fuck you want. And then I show up to the club late that night. I walk into the dressing room, and sitting in the dressing room is Gavin Newsom, who at the time was the mayor of San Francisco, but now he's the governor of California. And sitting next to him was Kamala Harris, who at the time was the DA of San Francisco. Now she's the senator from California that's front-running on the Democratic ticket. And sitting next to her was Al Gore. It's fucking weird. And sitting next to Al Gore was the guys from Google, Sergey, and I don't know how to say these. All right. And it was Chris Tucker and Ben Jealous, who at the time was the president of the NAACP, who was all just at this big charity dinner, and Paul Mooney was drinking scotch. And we all was just in there. And, you know, at first I was a little uncomfortable when we started talking, and we all got along really well. At some point, Kamala Harris says to me, she goes, you know, a friend of mine is announcing his candidacy for president tomorrow. I went to college with him. I'm like, what? I go, Barack Obama? She goes, you've heard of him? I'm like, yo, I just read about this dude. And she goes, yo, yeah, blah, 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 we talking. She goes, you know what? She says, let's call him on the phone. I said, what the fuck? And she picks the phone up and she dials and she's listening like this. And she goes, this is voicemail. And she gives me the phone. She goes, leave him a message. You know, I didn't know what to say. I just said what you say to any black dude that's running for president. You know, stay low, running a zigzag pattern, this kind of shit. And then the last thing I say is, you know what? I said, sir, well, I really do believe you can do this. Like, man, I'm wishing you luck. Now, next day I wake up and go for coffee at a place called the Embarcadero. It's like an eatery by the sea in San Francisco. And I'm walking to the coffee shop, and there's a police line, and I can't cross the tape. But then I figure, fuck it, I'm Dave Chappelle, so I go into the thing like this. And the police yoke me. These motherfuckers, like, tackle me immediately. And I see over the police's shoulder Gavin Newsom. I couldn't remember his name, but I remember the night before I had kept teasing him and saying he looked like Christian Bale, the guy from the Batman movies. So I see him and I can't remember the name, so I'm just like, Batman, help! And he stops, he's like, Dave? And then the police see that the mayor knows me, so they all like, oh, sorry about that. And he's like, hey, back up, everybody. And he just picks me up. He's like, I'm really sorry about that. I'm like, I'm fine, don't worry about it. And he's like, listen, I'm here with Prince. Would you like to meet him? I'm like, I know Prince. That's my nigga. And we go around the corner, and it was Prince Charles, the Prince of England. I didn't know the protocol of meeting royalty. You're not supposed to touch him. I dapped him up like a nigga. My nigga. Just hugging him and shit like this, just dapping him up. And that nigga was cool too. I was like, it's really fucking weird. And then I was just out there in the upside down, not having no TV show, trying to figure life out. And the election was going on in the background. And this guy, Barack Obama, was picking up steam. This motherfucker was killing it. And I had a chance to go to the last debate on the Democratic ticket, and I went. It's me and Chris Tucker sitting in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It's the last three candidates. It was Barack Obama, John Edwards, and Hillary Clinton. Now, Obama's a lot taller than Edwards and Clinton, and he had the center podium. And at one point, they're all on stage, and they start fussing, and Obama goes, look, none of us are perfect, like this. And his hands was like this, and there was light shining behind his head, and the other two candidates was looking up at the nigga, and I was sitting in the audience like, this nigga looks like Jesus. And I realized in that moment that I was looking at the next president of the United States. I was certain of it. I couldn't explain it, but I knew what I was seeing. And I got really excited. And I'm not that kind of guy. I said, I gotta meet this motherfucker. So I stayed. They were all on stage doing interviews, and I just waited. I was waiting and waiting, and then John Edwards was done with his interviews first, because everybody knew he wasn't going to win. And I see John Edwards, and I said, hey, Senator Edwards, I just want to say hi. And that motherfucker looked at me like, I'm like, fuck you, nigga, you gonna lose anyway. And then he left, and then Hillary Clinton just walked by me in one of them Steve Harvey suits. But Obama was taking forever. Everybody wanted to talk to him. When I knew the media saw exactly what I saw, there was no question about it. That was the guy. I waited and I waited, and finally, must have been over an hour and a half, he finishes his last interview. He's like, well, thank you very much. Good talking to you. And he turns around, and we make eye contact. He sees me, and when he sees me, he looks over, he goes, Dave Chappelle. And Obama did me the same way I did Prince Charles. He dapped me out like, And he like bro hugged me, and he pulled me in, and I'll never forget this. He said in my ear, I got your message. Thank you very much, New York City. Good night. You know what I said? That's all I said. First of all, I'll tell you right now what I said. And I will tell you that this was not a joke. It's a true story. And I just happened to tell it. All right, what happened was I went to a gallery party, all right? I don't know who in here has ever been rich before, but these are very nice parties. Wine and cheese and ball of conversation. And there was a few eccentric types, one of which was a very wealthy man that happened to be wearing a dress. I don't know what you call him, man. This is a tranny or drag queen, perhaps. Whatever it was, this is definitely a man. And this man was definitely on drugs. I don't know what kind of drugs he's on, but I knew he had too much. He didn't look good. It's like this, he's like, he looked sick. And all his friends were standing around him, concerned, trying to revive him. I don't know whether it looked like some kind of gay CPR. There was fanning and shit. I saw all this from a distance. Now, I should have minded my own business, but I got curious. I was like, And I went over there. All I said, excuse me, gentlemen, is he okay? And then they looked at me like I was evil. She is fine. I said, word? Oh. I'm sorry, I didn't know this is what we were doing. Here's my thing. I would support anybody's right to be whoever they feel like they are inside. I'm your ally in that. However, my question is, to what degree do I have to participate in your self-image? Is it fair that I have to change my whole pronoun game up for this motherfucker? That didn't make sense. Seriously. If I put on an Argyle sweater and I'm like, hey everybody, I feel like a white guy in this sweater and I want some goddamn respect and a bank loan. That's not gonna work. Give a fuck how I feel. Why should I give a fuck how you feel? Nigger is a pronoun. But there was no time for philosophical debate. This was an emergency situation. I said, fine. Sorry, guys. I was just worried because she looks terrible. She just fell off the bench. Appears that her dick is popping out of her dress. You mind if I call an ambulance, champ? I'd rather not be at a party where a tranny ODs. There's too many questions to answer. Okay, I've been through this before. I had a friend from high school. Now, in high school, this guy was a thug, right? He was a fucking dope boy. He did it all. He's a wild dude. People used to be very scared of him. And then after high school, word on the street was he'd come out the closet. I personally didn't believe it. I bring him up because last year, he calls me out of the blue like, yo, what's up, man? I got your number from so-and-so. I heard you're going to be in New York doing a show. Could I get some tickets? I was like, fuck yeah, get some tickets, man. How you been? He said, well, we'll catch up at the show, man. But, yo, I appreciate it. I'll see you soon. I said, all right, man, take care. And I was about to hang up, and I couldn't resist. I was just like, Hey, nigga, I heard you was gay. What's going on with that? And I wish I didn't ask. Because he sounded like he was dying to talk about that shit. And he had a long story about it. And it's not that I didn't care, but I was, I don't like talking on the phone. I was watching TV at the same time. So I just wasn't really paying attention like I should. But I was trying to sound supportive, but I didn't really know what to say. So I just like mumbling shit throughout this conversation. I just be like, nigga, you gay, man. You just gay. Like, This went on for a while, and then finally I had to say something like definitive to get him off the phone. And I was like, hey, man, you know what? Don't let people get you down, all right? And the next time someone tries to make you feel bad about yourself, just remember, everybody fucks funny to somebody. He didn't like that shit. He's like, what the fuck does that mean? I said, huh? He said, you saying I fuck funny, motherfucker? I said, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying everybody's different. He said, you ain't say different, nigga. You say it funny. What's so fucking funny about the way I fuck? And I said, hey, man, I fuck feet. He said, what? Oh, this is not a joke, ladies and gentlemen. I get women to squeeze their feet together like this, and I fuck them right in that little space in their feet. But you can't build a community behind that shit. There's no flag for us. That shit made him laugh. And the next day, after the show, I saw him backstage. He was like, yo, what's up, man? I'm like, oh, shit, what's going on? And he had his buddy with him. He goes, Dave, I want you to meet Manuel. Manuel's my fiance. We're in New York getting married because it's legal here. I said, well, congratulations, fellas. And Manuel was like, gracias. And he went to go get some drinks. And then my buddy looked at me, he was like, so Dave, what do you think? And I started mumbling again. You gay, nigga, you're just gay. He said, yeah, I'm a little nervous about getting married, man. It's a big step. I said, yeah, it is. It's a big step. He said, well, you've been married for a while. You got any advice for us? No, I'm married to a woman. Sorry about that. And they corrected me. He said, no, you married the person that you love. So it's essentially the same. I said, man, the problem with that statement is that it makes the assumption that I love her. But you guys lighten the fuck up. Of course I love my wife. She laughs at this shit. As a matter of fact, she eats and spends this shit. You know what I told him? I told him, I said, you know what you should do, man? First of all, you shouldn't do it. I'm talking about being legally married. It's not that you're gay as much as just legal marriage is a fucking diabolical leverage game in the United States. I'm just being honest. Devoid of religious significance or the idea of love, marriage is nothing but an awful contract that you shouldn't sign. I'm just being real. Because you start out loving each other, and then like 2 years later, you're just building a case against one another for a hypothetical court date that may or may not ever happen. You throw being gay on top of that, that shit is explosive. Like it's that Ray Rice shit. Okay, right after Ray Rice went through all that shit, I was at a party and I met this kid, Michael Sams. You know Michael Sams? Very nice guy. He's the first openly gay NFL player. And Mike's a very nice guy, very brave guy. But when I met him, I couldn't help but thinking, now what's gonna happen when Michael Sams beats his wife up in the elevator? Is that domestic violence or is that just two niggas working shit out in the elevator? You know what I mean? Anyway, I give all married men the same advice, gay or straight. Get a dog. This dog will love you all the time, but she's not going to. It's real talk. I didn't even know about dogs, and my kids got the dog. They brought him home from the shelter, and I didn't even want him. They were like, can we keep him? I said, nope. I said, where'd you even get this dog? They're like, we got him from the shelter. I was like, ugh. Probably something wrong with him. Can't keep him. And then my kids started crying and screaming like the dog had gambling debts. Please, Dad, if you don't let us keep him, they're gonna kill him. I was like, oh. All right, you can keep him. And this dog was a menace. I hated his guts. Then one night I'd smoked a bunch of weed and I was eating a sandwich and Baba came over. Baba's the dog. He came over and was staring at me. This will make you very uncomfortable if you're just looking at you usually. I had to give him a piece of my sandwich so he'd go away. And that's how we became friends. Now, if you see me walking down the street with Baba, I ain't got no leash or nothing. He walks right next to me. If I stop, he'll stop. And if I go, he'll go. And all my friends are like, yo, Dave, that shit is dope. How you train Baba to do that shit? I've never trained Baba. I'm just a messy eater. If I drop food and Baba's not around, all I gotta do is call him. Baba! He's a black dude's dog, so he doesn't come right away. He peeks first to see what's going on. I gotta tap my foot so he can see the food. Over here, little buddy. And he's like, thanks, Dave. He'll come get it and run off. Story. I started doing stand-up comedy when I was 14. I'll never forget the first time I was on stage. The guy that introduced me was a guy named J.T. Newton. I'm 47. I can close my eyes and remember the introduction like it was yesterday. It went like this. Ladies and gentlemen, this next young man coming to the stage is starting his comedy career tonight. Who knows? We may be witnessing the birth of a star. Please welcome David Chappelle. From the first time that I ever held a microphone, I was sure this was it. I knew I was home. I knew I had found my thing. And my God, man, I was a child. I got good. Matter of fact, I was good from the moment I started. And I'm not saying this to be a braggart. I'm telling you the truth. These old niggas was in awe of me. How is this little boy so poised? They used to say. I was. I mean, you know, I got better, but it started out good. About a year into it, when I was 15 years old, I had written a joke during the AIDS epidemic about having a Goodyear condom. Something, I don't even remember the joke. Something about an industrial strength condom by Goodyear. I just remember all the comedians really liked that joke. And there was an older comedian. And he came to me one night after the show, after he saw the joke, and he said, listen, I got an audition at another comedy club, and I was wondering, do you mind if I do that joke? I just want to borrow it. Now, I'm a kid. I don't know any better. I'm like, borrow it? Well, I guess, sure, if it'll help your career. I let him do the joke. And then weeks later, I was waiting to go on in a comedy club, and he went on before me, and he did the joke. And after the show, I pulled him aside and I said, hey, man, I don't mind you borrowing my jokes, but you gotta give them back. He said, oh, I forgot to ask you. He goes, let me buy that joke from you for $50. And I said, man, I'd do it, but I'm just starting out. I need all the material I can get. The idea being that the more material I can accumulate, the faster I'll be able to make money for my work. I said, I can't do it. I want my joke back. I'll never forget this. Remember, I was a 15-year-old child. This guy was a grown-ass man. He stood up over me so I could see how big he was. And he said to me, really? I can just take it. And he did. I got scared because I was a child. But I never forgot that. I never forgot that. I was 15 years old. I'm 47 now. I think about this guy all the time. When I look at my own kids and I see how young and innocent they are, I can't believe someone did that to me. And I don't think about it every day because that was the worst thing that happened to me. I think about it every day because that was the first time that someone ever did that to me. But in my career, it has happened many, many times since, where someone would intimidate me or scare me and take something that I believe was mine. I'll tell you another story. Now I'm 18 years old. I'm living in New York City, and I just finished my first road tour, which was a very difficult tour. I'll spare you the details. Now I'm back in New York, but my rent is paid, thank God. And I have $60 to my name, and a woman that I had met in Pittsburgh, a bad Dominican bitch, was coming to New York. She was going to spend the weekend with me. I couldn't wait for her to get there. She was coming that evening. But remember, I only had $60 for a whole weekend to entertain a bad bitch. Now I'm walking through Greenwich Village, and I see something I've never seen before. 3-card Monte. You know what that is? Yeah, the guy had the whole thing. The table was set up, and he had the 3 cards, and the crowd was hooting and hollering, and he was like, find the red card, find the red card, and people were playing. Sometimes they win, sometimes they lose, but it was really exciting, and I'm standing there watching it, and I noticed while I'm watching them play this game that the red card, the one you're trying to find, had just a little bend on the corner. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, yo, this guy doesn't seem to know that red card is bent. I'm going to beat this motherfucker. And I walked up to the table, and I said, let me play a hand. And I put my last $60 on that table, and he starts to shuffle and find the red card, find the red card. And I kept watching that bent card go around the table, make sure I kept my eyes on that bent card. And when he stopped shuffling, and he said, find the red card, I pointed to it with confidence. Here it is right here. And he flipped it over, and it was black. And he took my money. I couldn't fucking believe that. How did this nigga do that? Was that magic or sorcery? I was confused. So you know what I did? I sat there, and I watched him for a real long time play the game. And I realized that all those people who was doing all that hooting and hollering and betting, my God, they were his friends. They were in on the whole thing. I felt so wronged. I felt so stupid. And then the next sucker came up to the table and was about to put his money down. And I said, fuck that, man. Don't put your money there. All these niggas is in on it. It's a trick. And when I said that, the guy that was dealing, and this motherfucker was huge, snatched me up by my collar. Feel how strong he was when he grabbed me. I was a skinny little guy. And he was going to maul me. And the only reason he didn't, I'm sure, is because he saw the fear in my face. And that fear, he looked at me. I saw his eyes go from hard to soft. He softened. Then he looked at me like the way a father would look at a child. And he said to me, young man, don't ever come between a man and his meal. I never forgot that either. Most niggas would have to run the streets for years to learn a lesson that profound. It took me 2 seconds. Never get between somebody and their paper. Taking a man's livelihood away from him is akin to killing him. Do you know why Prince, the famous rock star that was a friend of mine, do you know why he called himself the artist when he came back? He calls himself the artist because that's what they call us in our contracts. Oh, these contracts are crazy. You should hear the terminology they say in these contracts. To use your name and likeness in perpetuity throughout the universe. Who the fuck could possibly know what that means? Nobody does. It's so complicated, in fact, that when you're a kid like me, you have to hire somebody to tell you what that means. And you sit down at a table and you do the contract game. And that's how I got with Comedy Central. I signed the contract. But I signed the contract the way that a 28-year-old expectant father that was broke signs a contract. I was desperate. I needed a way out, and it wasn't good money, and it wasn't good circumstances, but what else am I going to do, I said. And all these white people sitting at that table told me, trust us, Dave, it's a good contract. And I looked around the table, and they all seemed to agree it was a good contract. But what if it was like that game of three-card Monte? What if they were all friends and I didn't know it? And the bag of money was Iceberg's money in the first place. What was I talking about? What was I trying to tell you? Last week, 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, I call Lauren Michaels and I tell him, okay, I'll do it. I'll do Saturday Night Live on election night. And the day I made that phone call, the day I committed to it, it gets announced that Netflix is streaming Chappelle's show. Not just Netflix, HBO Max is streaming it too. Let me tell you another story about HBO. No, hear me out. Did you know, before Chappelle's show was at Comedy Central, I pitched that show to HBO. I told them what I wanted to do. Now, these are executives. All they have to do is say, yeah, we'll take it, or no, thank you, we won't. But they didn't say either of those things. They went too far. They said, literally, what do we need you for? That's what they told me, as they kicked me out of the office. What do we need you for? And here we are, all these years later, and they're streaming the very show that I was pitching to them. So I'm asking them, what do you need me for? People think I made a lot of money for Chappelle's show. When I left that show, I never got paid. They didn't have to pay me because I signed the contract. But is that right? I found out that these people were streaming my work and they never had to ask me or they never had to tell me. Perfectly legal because I signed the contract. But is that right? I didn't think so either. That's why I like working for Netflix. I like working for Netflix because when all those bad things happened to me, that company didn't even exist. And when I found out they were streaming Chappelle's show, I was furious. How could they not know? So you know what I did? I called them and I told them that this makes me feel bad. And do you want to know what they did? They agreed that they would take it off their platform just so I could feel better. That's why I fuck with Netflix. Because they paid me my money, they do what they say they're gonna do, and they went above and beyond what you could expect from a businessman. They did something just because they thought that I might think that they were wrong. And I do. I think if you are fucking streaming that show, you're fencing stolen goods. They stole that from me. They just took it. And I'm not up here trying to tell you guys that I believe that Comedy Central gave me a raw deal just because I'm black. I believe that they gave me a raw deal because this fucking industry is a monster. It's the same monster that these Me Too bitches was trying to tell you about. But they hate the monster for how it fucks. And I hate that monster for how it eats. But my God, man, it's the same monster. When I quit the show, all my friends would say, well, fuck them, Dave. Why don't you just do Chappelle's show at another network? Yeah. And why doesn't a slave run from one plantation to another plantation because the master over there might be nicer? My God, man, I was trapped. You know what, tell you the truth? I've even thought about coming back and doing another Chappelle show. Well, but if I do, I can't call it Chappelle's show because my name and likeness is being used by them in perpetuity throughout the universe. It's in the contract. You're not supposed to do this in my business. I'm up here doing something that nobody else in this business has the balls to do. I'm telling you something that you need to know. I'm trying to explain to you what you're seeing. You don't understand what you're seeing. I am publicly flogging a network. And I know that this network niggas, they watching me and they saying, why are you doing this so publicly? Doesn't feel good to be flogged publicly. Oh, believe me, I know exactly how that feels. When I quit my show, they said I was crazy. What was crazy about it? I just didn't want to do it anymore. They said I smoked crack. That's impossible. I was a devout Muslim. I didn't smoke or drink. But I do now, bitch, because you ruined my fucking life. Now it's their turn. This is their first nigga lesson, and I'm honored to give it to them. They're gonna pay me for this show. I called my agent. I said, is there anything I can do about this show? And he said, no. Well, fuck you too then. If you want something done right, I guess you gotta do it yourself. So I'm not going to the agents. I'm coming to my real boss. I'm coming to you. I'm begging you, if you ever liked me, if you ever think there was anything worthwhile about me, I'm begging you, please don't watch that show. I'm not asking you to boycott any network. Boycott me. Boycott Chappelle's show. Do not watch it unless they pay me. If you're a shareholder at Viacom, then I'm talking to you. Because all that shit that they do to us, well, they do everything for their shareholders. That's what they told me. So if you're a shareholder in that company, tell them it's wrong. And if you don't believe that it's wrong, then fuck you too. You should know what's in the hot dogs you eat. Now, there's probably a bunch of people at Comedy Central and Viacom and all these places that have no idea what I'm talking about. They've all either quit or been fired or got Me Too'd or something. Them niggas is gone. And there's a whole bunch of new young people there, and they're probably looking like, what is he talking about? They may not actually know what the fuck happened to me. So I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Go downstairs to your accounting department, open the books, see what that show made, and look at what you paid me. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You're going to pay me. I am inviting you to come with me and work with me. And let's fight against that terrible, terrible feeling that you made me feel together. We can fight together and work this thing with Chappelle's show out. Or I can just take it. The second time I met O.J. Simpson. Was right after the trial of the century. There I was, now a young man of probably 23. O.J. Simpson was the most famous or infamous face on planet Earth. I was in a restaurant in Beverly Hills with my agents. I wasn't alone in the restaurant, but I was alone. I was the only black person in the restaurant. And in the 90s, that felt very uncomfortable. Now I tend to enjoy it at this age. I was having dinner with my agents, celebrating a deal that they told me was lucrative, but I later learned fucking sucked. And suddenly, a group of women walked by. Every race was in that group. Black, white, Asian, Latina, white, and white again. They were all gorgeous. I watched them walk by. Then, I saw a familiar face. Al Collins, the man from the infamous Bronco check, towards the door. Couldn't believe what I saw. And then, close behind him, was O.J. Simpson, newly released from jail. The restaurant fell still. I was shocked. I didn't mean to say it out loud, but it just came out. O.J. He stopped, turned around to see who said it, saw my black face, and correctly assumed it was me. I was sitting in the corner of the booth. He leaned over all the white people I was having dinner with and shook my hand. How are you, young man? He looked in my eyes, and I could see in his eyes that he didn't remember meeting me the first time. And then he walked away. And I looked back at my agents, and all of them had nothing short of disgust on their faces. And the only one with the courage to voice their disgust was a woman named Sharon, who used to represent me. How could you, she said. How could you shake hands with that murderer? I said, Sharon, with all due respect, that murderer ran for over 11,000 yards. And he didn't fit. Glove didn't fit. Get over yourself. Some people can't do that. Some people just can't get over themselves. Gay people have a hard time doing that recently. Here we go. Here comes the deep water. No, recently I've noticed that. I noticed that with that Manny Pacquiao controversy. Yeah, no, it was now in the gay community's defense, Manny Pacquiao said some outlandish shit about gay people. Very, very not nice things that I won't repeat, but there was biblical verses and some analogies to animals. Wasn't a good look. Nike took his shoes immediately, which I thought was a little harsh. A little harsh. You know what I mean? Because he's just because he's Asian. You know what I mean? Fuck, you gonna take shoes off Asian dude to appease a gay dude? You know what I mean? No, you don't know what I mean. But Asian people kind of know what I mean. No? No Asians in the front? No? No, this is what I mean. Okay, look. Okay, you're an Asian dude. No, I say this with no disrespect. But we're all Americans, right? And we can agree that America has a huge body count all over the world, but nowhere more than Asia. Literally, if you look at history, recently, we have bombed the masculinity out of an entire continent. We dropped 2 atomic bombs on fucking Japan, and they've been drawing Hello Kitty and shit ever since. There's a lot of lady boys in the wake of our bombs. And I know these things because my wife is Asian. She's Filipino. All right, well, okay, so that explains it. Now you know why you see me at all those Filipino events. I'm out there picking up pussy. I'm dropping some off. I take my wife to all that shit. I took my wife to see Pacquiao fight Mayweather. We sat ringside, okay? That was a quiet car ride home. That's what that was. But if you know what's popping in the Philippines, you know that they got a whole generation of kids in the Philippines growing up without their mothers. Yes, A lot of women in the Philippines go to the Arabian Peninsula, they come to the United back home, which is still one of the #1 staples in the Philippines economy, money that their expats send back to the Philippines. The men, on the other hand, are left rearing children, twiddling their thumbs, waiting on their wives' checks. These men have been fucking emasculated. And then suddenly, a boxer rises from amongst them and reinstates their manhood with his motherfucking fist. This is not the guy you're supposed to ask, what do you think of homosexuals? He's not your champ. Shit. That's why I don't have a sneaker deal, because if you say something that people don't like, they'll take your fucking shoes off. Throw the hat. They've got the longest mental gap to bridge. That's all I'm saying. Because, you know, whenever I see one of them T's on the street, I don't mind them, but I'll be like, man, I miss Bruce. I'm sorry, guys. I'm 42. I remember Bruce Jenner. Before the Kardashians, before all that, this motherfucker was a white American superhero. It was amazing. He was beating Africans at track and field. We'd never seen anything like it. He was on my cereal box growing up. You know how much of that cereal I ate, nigga? I didn't know he was gonna do that. I knew before you guys knew. I heard things on the street in Hollywood. You know, you just be out, see people. Hey, what's up, Kanye? Why the long face? Nigga, you'll see. I got 2 mother-in-laws now. And when I heard he was gonna do it, I was scared. I didn't think the public was ready. I didn't think the media was ready. And you know what? I was wrong. Never seen anything like it. Welcome to the world, Caitlin. So long, Bruce. Hello. Somebody called me a nigga in traffic last Wednesday. It's so long, it takes a minute. My wife's friend, Stuart, told me that. My wife has a lot of gay friends. Stuart's their leader. She has a lot of gay friends. And I don't like them. Not because they're gay, I'm just judging them on the merits of their character. They're just not nice dudes. They're fucking rude house guests. They're sitting on my couch, giggling with my wife, eating my motherfucking macaroons. And I come in, they act like the party's over. Hey, Stuart, what's going on? This guy talks to me the way a cat would speak if a cat could talk. Hi, David. Stuart, what's all the beef, man? What's going on? He always wants to have some kind of gay political argument. The last one was about a petition in federal court to take the words husband and wife out of the law. I said, well, why would you want those words out the law? He said, because it discriminates against same-sex couples. I was like, niggas, please save me the semantics. Just trust me, take your chips and get the fuck out of the casino. You're about to decide, talk that over amongst yourselves, and whichever one of you is gayer, that's the wife. No, Stuart didn't like that. Stuart educates me about this movement, you know what I mean? I didn't even know shit about it. He told me it's called LBGTQ. I was like, what the fuck is the Q? Does that even make sense, Q? Turns out Q is like the vowels. That shit is sometimes Y. For gay dudes that don't really know they're gay. You know what I mean? Like prison fags who are like, well, I'm not gay, nigga. I'm just sucking these dicks to pass the time. I'm not G, I'm Q. Ugh. I think, okay, again, of all those letters, the T has the toughest road ahead. In fact, I think the T should stand for tough. If Martin Luther King had a sneaker deal, we'd still be on the back of the bus. They always true, the Nike exec come up, hi, Martin, we need you to tone down the talk of civil rights and blacks being humans. It's It's upsetting our southern distributors. But I don't understand. I thought that's why I had a sneaker deal in the first place. Not quite. Really, it's a walking shoe, and we like the marching, but try to understand. Fuck that shit. You know, I get it, though. I understand why gay people are mad, and I empathize. You know what? I'm just telling you, this is a black dude. I support your movement, but if you want to take some advice from a Negro, pace yourself. These things take a while. Just because they passed the law doesn't mean they're going to like it. Brown versus the Board of Education was in 1955. I was shocked. Is this happening? Wait a minute. Is this a time in American history when an American can make a decision for themselves? And even though other Americans don't understand it, they'll support it and let this person live a happy life? Is this what's happening? If it is, then good for America. That's Dave Chappelle, the American. Although Dave Chappelle, the black American, he was a little jealous. I was like, how the fuck are transgender people beating black people in the discrimination Olympics? If the police shot half as many transgenders as they did niggas last year, it'd be a fucking war in LA. I know black dudes in Brooklyn, hard street motherfuckers, that wear high heels just to feel safe. Transgenders are gangsters. I used to do business with a transgender in Hollywood. Man, everybody would be scared of her in the boardroom. She'd walk in there, newly minted woman, high heels, purse. Shit. And then she walked to the head of the conference table, stare at us all, reach in her purse, and pull her old dick out and throw it on the table. Let's talk business, gentlemen. Ah! Shit is scary as fuck. If your best friend pitched that to you, you'd be horrified. Yo, nigga, let's go to the hospital and cut our dicks off and make pussies out of them shits. What? Can't we just get matching jackets or tattoos or something? Sure, that's what you want to do? There's only one way to find out, nigga. Wu-Tang, bow, bow. Let's go to the club and trick niggas into fucking us, yeah. I don't deal with jails. Don't deal with jails, and I don't deal with police. My house got robbed in New York. I didn't even call the police. I wanted to, but I couldn't. My crib is too nice. It's not that it's too nice, but it's too nice for me. You know how the police are in New York. Soon as I open the door, they'll be like, oh, he's still here. Open and shut case, Johnson. Apparently, this black guy broke in and hung up pictures of his family everywhere. Never seen anything like it. Don't deal with them, man. I had to bail a friend of mine out of jail one time. You know, that was horrible. I was scared. I had to walk right into the belly of the beast. I tried to look as non-threatening as possible. Hi. I'm here to bail out my buddy. Oh, okay. Well, while you're here, you do fit a description. You'll walk this way, we can process you. I'd always get us. Fitting those damn descriptions. Now, I could be bitter and blame all the police, but no. I'll tell you who I blame. It's those sketch artists. They keep drawing the same brother over and over again. Who is this generic man we all look like?
I want to know what they say when it's us. You know what I mean? They'd be in that room like, did you get a look? Did you see the guy that tried to rob you? Yes. Yes, I did. He's about 6 feet tall, I'd say. 6 feet tall? Yes. He had his hat on backwards, too. Good. That's good stuff. Hat was on backwards. Yes. He was black? Okay. Big lips, big nose, hanging out. Say no more, sir. I'll draw him from memory. You know, let me get my stencil. I think we can trace this guy and save some time. They get on the radio and calling all cars. Be on the lookout for a black male between 4'7" and 6'8". Between 120 and 380 pounds. He's wearing Nikes. Get this man! Criminals are insane. I don't even know why people do crime. They want to catch you, they're going to catch you. They can. They got forensics. You ever seen forensics? Those guys find clues nobody else thinks about looking for. I mean it. You leave a pubic hair anywhere near a crime scene, they're going to find that. What the hell is this? Back up! We got a match. Then they look at the pubic and tell all kinds of information. Looks like there was a struggle. Time of death 307. It's amazing. I saw him get a dude one time on court TV. It was embarrassing. It was a sexual assault case. I knew the defendant was lying. I could feel it. He defended himself too hard. He did. His answers had nothing to do with the questions. They're completely irrelevant. They asked him easy questions. Were you anywhere near the crime scene on the night of the incident? Mother, I told you I worked at Burger King. He was like, that went on for hours. Then the prosecutor got fed up. Said, I've had enough of this. Called the forensics to the stand. Forensics was like, Your Honor, we are prepared to testify that we found the defendant's semen under the stove. I said, God damn. That's worse than fingerprints. You know, they find your semen, you've been there at least a minute. But that's what I want to know. Under the stove? You find semen like that? Or do you look for it? Like, do they walk onto a crime scene like, this place is a mess? Check it for semen. Or do they just like walk in and slip? Oh my God. What the hell was that? Semen. They find it on every crime scene. It's like, what are burglars doing? We got the stuff. Let's get out of here. Wait a minute. I want to leave my calling card. The semen bandit has struck again. I don't understand nothing anymore. I don't. I watched TV the other day. Now tell me, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm crazy. Is it me? Is it me, or do commercials have nothing to do with the products anymore? You think I don't even know what a commercial is about until the end. Everyone's a surprise nowadays. You seen that commercial where the lady got the black eye? This lady come on TV with a black eye. She's crying. She's like, I smoke crack. And my husband beats me. And then a voice came on and said, got milk? I said, what the hell? It has nothing to do with milk. I'm not saying I'm a commercial expert, but I'll make a better milk commercial than that. Make it nice and simple. I just do a close-up of a titty and put milk right underneath. If that doesn't sell milk, nothing will, boy. I'll tell you that right now. It's 1997. Titties are industry in 1997. They are. I know they are. I'm a customer. I went to a titty bar last week at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Now that's bad. That is bad. Because it wasn't like I was out. Said, let me swing by the titty bar. No, I left my house specifically to see some tits. Can't judge me, there's breast in there. It's just what men do. If a guy runs up to you on the street, it's like, hey, don't go in that building. There are naked girls showing their breast. Be like a white dude in a horror movie. I better investigate. I'm going to want to see for myself. Titty bar's a weird place. I'm not saying it's a good place to hang out. I go there every once and then. But it's a weird place. They got weird morality. One time I walked in titty bars, all these guys coming in, right? Out of all these dudes, the bouncer picked me out the crowd, started yelling at me. Hey, buddy. Sir, you want to take your hat off? Huh? It's disrespectful to the ladies. Yeah, I can shove a 20 up her ass, but I better not have a hat on when I do it. Oh, sorry about that, buddy. Here you go, Bubbles. Forgive me for the hat thing. You know why those bars are so popular now? Is because men don't know how to deal with women in reality. So sometimes we got to take the fantasy road. The reality of the situation is very grim. Women have made a lot of progress in a short period of time, man. It's changed everything. Can't deal in relationships anymore. I broke up with my girl. I'm out of Shawshank. I'm free. I don't want to go back. Couldn't even argue with her. You should be able to argue. If you have an issue in a relationship, you should be able to argue that issue out, right? But see, ladies, you got to stick to the issue. You guys take arguments everywhere just to win them. That's why nothing ever gets done. You be arguing about the dishes. Baby, could you wash your dish at least before you put it in the sink? Premature ejaculator? Damn it. You know, why you gotta bring that up? I don't even believe in that. I don't. If I man, it was right on time. That's the way I see it. And as far as I'm concerned, I can't fast enough. You know, I'm sick of being vilified all the time. David, how could you? How could you? I was. What were you trying to do, huh? Well, I beat you. You gotta work on your time, baby. I'm down to 1:20. Get mad at me because I have different goals in sex. I'm a speed. I'm just trying to hit my best time. It's like the Olympics. And now for the dismount.
Hello, xin chào tất cả mọi người. Xin chào mọi người đã quay trở lại cái buổi review của em Lan ngày hôm nay. Thì đối với em Lan ngày hôm nay thì em Lan đang sử dụng, đó là em Lan đang cầm trên tay, đó là một chiếc quạt tay của mình. Một chiếc quạt mà mang lại cho mọi người rất chi là nhiều cái nền văn hóa của mình này. Một nền văn hóa của mình rất chi là tốt luôn nhé. Thì mọi người có thể nhìn thấy là em Lan đang cầm trên tay cái chiếc quạt của mình. Thì mọi người có thể thấy rằng cái quạt tay này không còn gì là xa lạ với mọi người nữa, và cũng như là mọi người cũng thấy rằng chiếc quạt tay này nó là một cái vật mà gắn liền với những tuổi thơ của mình nhá. Thì là mọi người sẽ tìm hiểu xem là cái nền văn hóa của mình sẽ như thế nào. cái chiếc quạt tay như thế nào thì mình sẽ tìm hiểu cái nền văn hóa này nhá. Thì mọi người sẽ cùng em đang tìm hiểu xem chiếc quạt tay này của mình nó sẽ như thế nào nhá. Nhưng mà chiếc quạt tay của mình này là một nét văn hóa của Việt Nam vô cùng vô cùng tiêu biểu, một nét văn hóa mà bất kỳ một du khách nào đến với đất nước Việt Nam đều có thể là chiêm ngưỡng được. Thì chiếc quạt tay này của em Lan đang làm với cái chất liệu là chất liệu của cái em nói là bằng túi ni lông và những cái thanh tre đan vào nhau kết hợp đó. Sau đó thì là cái này là được làm thủ công nhá. Chiếc quạt tay này thì của em Lan là được các cụ làm thủ công luôn, là những cái thanh tre để được vót này, những cái thanh tre này sẽ được vót nhẹ nhàng, vót thẳng với nhau và đan xen vào với nhau. Sau đó thì sẽ xếp vào và dùng đinh. Cái này là chúng ta sẽ dùng đinh nhá, đinh cố định và dùi lỗ. Thì em không hiểu là các cụ sẽ dùi lỗ được kiểu gì để chúng ta có thể đóng được cái đinh tòe hai đầu như thế này. Em phải khâm phục các cụ như thế. Có những cái chiếc đan thẳng vào nhau. Sau đó thì chúng ta sẽ cắt một cái mảnh giấy để chúng ta áp lên trên. Và đây mọi người có thấy là những cái đường khâu nhé, những cái đường khâu như thế này là do các cụ khâu tay đó. Đây là cái quạt mà cụ em cho bà nội em cho em. Đây là cái quạt mà bà nội em cho em. Thì mọi người có thể thấy là đây là những cái đường khâu chỉ này, khâu tay rất chi là cẩn thận luôn. Không những thế này, cụ còn in hình những cái hoa văn lên đây đó. Mọi người có thể thấy là cụ có thể in hình những cái hoa văn này đấy, chúc này đấy, thấy chưa? Các cụ cũng rất chi là tỉ mỉ luôn, cắt khâu để khâu đính khâu các bạn. Bây giờ mà bạn để cho em mà làm như cái này thì em chịu thôi, em không làm được đâu. Nhưng mà thật sự là cái quạt tay này rất chi là tiện luôn. Những cái lúc thời tiết mà mất điện hay là mình đi đâu mà nóng nôi á thì mình có thể sử dụng cái em quạt này, và quạt rất chi là hữu ích luôn. Những cái lúc mà có điện, trời mát, mình bật điều hòa thì có nghĩa mình sẽ không nghĩ đến những cái quạt tay này đâu. Nhưng mà khi mà mất điện á thì mình đi tìm thì rất chi là vất vả luôn. Đấy là cái lợi ích của cái em quạt tay này. Chiếc quạt tay này thì có những cái nét văn hóa rất chi là riêng, những cái nét văn hóa tiêu biểu của em quạt tay này. Thì chúng ta sẽ cùng đi tìm hiểu cái nét văn hóa của chiếc quạt tay này là sẽ có nét văn hóa như thế nào nhé. Chiếc quạt tay là một phần của lịch sử văn minh, văn hóa và hầu hết các quốc gia trên thế giới, các quốc gia trên thế giới, không riêng gì của Việt Nam mà rất nhiều quốc gia trên thế giới có những cái chiếc quạt tay này. Tuy nhiên chưa có minh chứng nào để xác minh chính xác về cái chiếc quạt tay đầu tiên của loài người, nhưng có thể chắc chắn rằng chiếc quạt tay này đã gắn liền với đời sống thường nhật của con người từ rất lâu rồi. Và đúng là như thế, từ khi mà em còn bé xíu ấy thì các cụ đã dùng những cái chiếc quạt tay này để quạt cho tụi em rồi. Những cái lúc nắng nóng là các cụ cứ xóa ra cái này và quạt thôi và quạt giã. Nói chung của em nóng nhưng mà các cụ cũng không ngại gì đâu, các cụ quạt giã cánh tay luôn. Cái này thì khoảng 400 năm về trước thì người Ai Cập đã sử dụng chiếc quạt tay để xem như là một vật linh thiêng, sử dụng trong các nghi lễ tôn giáo và cũng coi nó như là một biểu tượng quyền năng. Bằng chứng tiêu biểu là hai chiếc quạt được tìm thấy trong ngôi mộ của hoàng đế Tutankhamun. Trong đó một chiếc là cầm tay bằng vàng và chiếc còn lông đà điểu. Với những chiếc lông đà điểu được làm thiết kế từ bằng vàng và những chiếc lông đà điểu đấy, thì có chiếc còn lại là làm từ gỗ mun sáp vàng và được gắn đá quý, rất chi là quý giá luôn. Những cái vật phẩm của người Ai Cập em phải nói là em chưa được đến Ai Cập lần nào, nhưng mà em cũng ước em sẽ được nhìn thấy lăng mộ và nhìn thấy kim tự tháp luôn. Những dân tộc cổ đại khác thì như người Do Thái cổ, Ba Tư và La Mã thì sử dụng chiếc quạt tay với nhiều mục đích khác nhau. Trong đó có ghi chép là trong đó thì cái người dân này sử dụng những cái mục đích thì những cái thời xa xưa thì mình không thể nào biết được là mục đích của người ta sử dụng là như thế nào, thế nên là em cũng không nói nhiều cái này đâu nhá. Đấy. kích thước và hình dạng quạt tay thì được kích thước và hình dạng tay nhiều nhưng mà nhiều như chính khả năng tưởng tượng phong phú của con người, thì chúng có thể làm bằng bất cứ loại vật liệu nào mong muốn với bàn tay khéo léo và đầu óc sáng tạo của người nghệ nhân. Thì người xưa quạt được làm đơn giản từ những chất liệu như có thớ như giấy, từ những chất liệu có thớ như giấy, vỏ cây khô và lá cọ. Về sau thì chiếc quạt lan được gấp gọn được, và chất liệu được sử dụng như là ngà voi, xương, mica, mai rùa, vải, lụa, the, gấm, lông công, cùng nhiều phụ kiện trang trí như là pha lê, ngọc trai và các loại đá quý để tạo ra những chiếc quạt xinh xảo và đẹp mắt. Đấy, có nhiều giả thiết thì cho rằng về nguồn gốc của chiếc quạt tay, thì trong đó hai nước châu Á và Nhật Bản, Trung Quốc đều cho rằng chính mình là họ đã tìm ra được cái chiếc quạt tay như thế này, chứng minh được cái chiếc quạt tay để ra đời như thế. Nhưng mà theo người Nhật Bản thì họ làm quạt mô phỏng theo cánh của người Trung Quốc, mô phỏng theo cánh của con dơi, trong khi người Trung Quốc lại cho rằng hình ảnh người phụ nữ cầm quạt này trước mặt lạ để quạt mang lại ý tưởng sáng tạo và vận dụng. Cho dù bắt nguồn từ nơi đâu thì cho dù công nghệ vươn đến đỉnh cao mang lại luồng gió mát, thì những cái thiết bị như quạt hay điều hòa nhiệt độ thì chiếc quạt tay mãi là một phần không thể tách rời với đời sống văn hóa của con người. Đấy, khi mà đời sống văn hóa của chúng ta cao cấp hơn, sang trọng hơn và lịch sự hơn, thì chúng ta sẽ không sử dụng đến những chiếc quạt tay như thế này, mà chúng ta sẽ sử dụng đó chính là những cái quạt cây, những cái điều hòa để chúng ta làm mát một cách công nghiệp. Thì bên cạnh đó thì những cái vật dụng như là các cụ ngày xưa vẫn hay sử dụng, thì đó chính là chiếc quạt tay như vậy. Thì chiếc quạt tay để giúp cho chúng ta chiếc quạt tay này thì giúp cho mình luôn được mát mẻ hơn này, mang đậm cái chất văn hóa mang đậm cái chất văn hóa của mình đấy. Thì cái chiếc quạt tay này thì chúng ta hay gặp ở những cái lễ hội hay những cái buổi đi chơi đi, thì ở những cái hội ấy, thì là có các cụ hay dùng những cái chiếc quạt tay này để chúng ta bán. Các cụ tự làm và đang thủ công ra để bán, thì nó có giá dao động chỉ từ 5.000 đến 10.000 thôi. Thì mỗi khi là em hay đi chùa đi thiền là em hay thấy các cụ hay bán đấy, và em cũng có mua để phục vụ cái nhu cầu đi lại mình nắng nóng mà mình sẽ quạt luôn. Còn ở một số nơi ấy, thì nó sẽ sản xuất quạt tay theo dạng công nghiệp, có nghĩa là mình sẽ sản xuất cả từ khung cho đến trên máy, trên phần trên quạt thì cũng hoàn toàn là chúng ta sẽ làm từ thủ công. Và bên cạnh đó thì bây giờ những chiếc quạt tay này nó có hình rất chi là đẹp luôn, in hình của Việt Nam quê hương tôi, in hình của Huế, và mỗi cái quạt thì nó lại có một cái danh lam thắng cảnh riêng, để cho khi mà người ta dùng đến thì người ta sẽ thấy được cái, khi mà người dùng được ấy thì người sẽ thấy được những cái di tích của lịch sử của Việt Nam. Đấy là người sáng tạo của bên khoa học, đấy là người ta sẽ sáng tạo ra cái quạt lan nó là như vậy, quạt đạt tay nó là như vậy. Thế đối với bản thân em thì em đang sử dụng chiếc quạt của cụ em, thì công việc quạt của nó thì rất chi là đơn giản thôi. Khi mà đây là có thể gấp gọn được, khi mà mình tẽ ra thế này là mình sẽ cầm và mình sẽ quạt, thì là quạt đấy rất chi là mát luôn. Những cái buổi mất điện, những cái buổi mà trời nắng nóng mà muốn làm mát nhanh cơ thể thì mình sử dụng cái này rất chi là nhanh như này. Đấy, thì video của em Lan đến đây là kết thúc rồi. Hẹn mọi người ở những cái video sau nhé. Mọi người hãy ủng hộ cho em Lan nha. Bye bye.